Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Highland Bullpen. Tonight, there's myself, Alan, your Highland representative, and we've also got Yorkshire Dave with us. Dave Jr. is actually holidaying where else but in the Highlands, so well done to him. And on pre-election night, we suspect Richard might be out pounding the stormy and wet streets of Glasgow, canvassing for your support. So thanks for joining us. Welcome along. Good to see Dave here tonight. Just very quickly, Yorkshire, I've got my Yorkshire Grand Depart 2014 sweatshirt on tonight. I like your Highland Bullpen one as well. But 10 years ago, we were in Harrogate, seen Mark Cavendish unfortunately crash in the Grand Depart when that was held in the UK. But tonight, well, this afternoon, he breaks the record for the most stage wins in the Tour de France. So a slight sporting diversion for us there, but you know us, we'll enjoy any sports, and perhaps all I'm really doing is trying to avoid talking about the Tigers. So, Dave, how are the Red Sox going? You're still hanging on to those wild card places?
In a pretty good position. And yeah, I do remember that 10 years ago. It was a great event, wasn't it? And we had a great time
Yeah,
together. And we thought it fun from our vantage point, wasn't it? It was
yeah,
there was an uphill finish just past Betty's famous
the
tea
wonderful
room.
Betties.
And we thought it was poised to win, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But what a great achievement by the man. Yeah, fantastic. Yes, the Red Sox are in a pretty good position. Let's say 45 and 39, 6 games over 500. We're officially over halfway through. Because of the way things are these days with the wild cards, they are actually only half a game back from that. Is it the third wild card
Yeah,
spot? So I think they did get to that 6 games above 500. I think they did get to 7 games above a couple of last at the end of last week. But this is, it's been as good a position as they're in, and they're playing. I would say they're playing quite well, very well, in fact. They've got a
yeah.
lot of good young players who are doing it, and there's no reason why they shouldn't make the wild card. And it just really depends now on what attitude the ownership take in the trade deadline coming up to the All-Star break, which tends to be when teams make a decision whether they're in contention or not, and whether they're going to try and improve their roster
Mm.
and therefore improve their chances of making the playoffs and perhaps even challenging for a championship and going the whole way. I'm not sure the Red Sox are in a position to do that, but incredibly, I haven't been listening a lot to the various podcasts that I tune in to. Listen to one the other day, and the suggestion was they've got a lot of left-handed batters in their lineup.
Mm.
And the suggestion is that, if they were a buying team, that they might want to, add. You always need can't have enough good pitching, as I
Yeah,
say. So the suggestion is they might want another starting pitcher, maybe another reliever, but a right-handed bat, maybe a designated hitter, might be is really what everyone thinks they really need. With a team full of lefties, all you have to do is put in a left-handed starter, and you could be struggling. So let's get a righty in there. And I never considered this, but I heard them talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the first baseman
Yeah,
for the Toronto Blue Jays. He's a star, and he does play first base. And I think he has won a Gold Glove at that position, but quite easily could be a designated hitter. And when Tristan Casas comes back from injury, we have a ready-made sort of power hitter at first base there. So, but I really don't know whether that's going to happen. If that did happen, that would be a real statement signing,
yeah,
and you from that you would say that the ownership believes in this roster and believes we've got a chance, and it also may encourage the coaching team, and specifically Alex Cora, um, to stick around for the foreseeable future, because the worry is that he's a coach that needs a team that's in contention.
yeah,
He's that good, I think. So yeah, I'm hopeful. We're in a series against the Marlins just now. I've not got a great record, so you'd be hoping that maybe another, might even sweep that series. Then they go to New York to the Yankees for a three-game series. So yeah, well, yeah, we took the series from them at Fenway, so um, yeah, why not? I think we've got our star pitchers in line to start in the Bronx. So, yeah, ever hopeful, Alan, ever
good.
hopeful.
Uh,
I suppose you would say as well that in Richard's absence, we'd have to say that this Seattle Mariners, have really been on the quiet. We haven't really mentioned them that much, but they've been top of the league for a long time.
yeah,
They're seven games above 500, and obviously in top spot. The Houston Astros, though, worryingly, they are now a winning team, and they're on the way up with pretty much half the season to go. I'd be concerned about them both from the Mariners' point of view and from the Red Sox point of view, because that's what was helping the Red
yeah.
Sox in that sort of wild card position, because some of the other fancy teams had not got off to a very good start. But I think they're back in contention.
Yeah, I noticed them creeping up there as well because you always, and I know we like to keep a wee eye on the Astros. I know you've got good contacts in that world, and I know it winds up people who don't like the Astros as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're happy to do that. And I need to hold my hands up and apologize for something to my podcast colleagues and in fact the baseball world because I was I was playing golf at my club at Crail over near St Andrews recently, and I finished my round, and there's three American guys were stranded in the car park. Their taxi had failed to turn up, so I did the Scottish hospitality thing, offered them a lift home, for which they were very kind and very generous about. But the apology is they were Yankees fans.
Mm.
I just now if I'd known that, but anyway, anyway,
No,
would
I
would
should have just left them.
would the hospitality have extended? So yeah, the Red Sox and the Mariners, we hold some hope. The Tigers, uh, yeah, the Tigers are better than the White Sox, I think, is my main shout out here. Although I did actually have a close look at that because yeah, you're 6 games above 500. The Tigers are now 9 games beneath 500. So I actually had a look at the last month, which has been fairly grim. It turns you off the 2 a.m. starts or whatever, watching the Tigers. So the Tigers are seven wins, 16 losses. So that in the last 4 weeks. So that's the 9 games. So if we were speaking to you a month ago, the Tigers would have been one of 4 teams in the AL Central at 500. Now no more, and now it doesn't seem that we're going to get that way. So I was conscious Dave was on holiday, so I had a quick look at what the White Sox were doing. They also have lost 16 games in that time, but they've played 2 games more and have won 9. So there's an argument that the Chicago White Sox are catching up a little bit on the Tigers, although I would hope we are far enough ahead that that's not going to be an issue. So what I had to do then was just check and say, surely there's somebody still performing worse in Major League Baseball in the last month. And the unfortunate Oakland Athletics, they've only had 6 wins, one less than even the Tigers in 4 weeks. Rockies 8, Marlins 9. So yeah, it's not great. We've got a couple of top pitchers there: Tarek Skubal, Jack Flaherty, and you mentioned the trades. We're not going to be trading up. So we've talked about this before, but the fear is: do we trade one of these top guys to then get 3 or 4 guys in? And it's a fascinating subject we've covered before. What I have this fear that the Tigers seem to have done this a few times, post Justin Verlander as well. Find somebody good, get 3 or 4 prospects or half decent players in, but it doesn't turn around. So yeah, no, that's a worry. The other thing I noticed on the White Sox as well, and given we're going to go and see the White Sox in Chicago, and I shouldn't bleat this too much, but their home record's not great, but their home record is significantly better than their away record. I think they've won something like 8 games on the road halfway through the season. So yeah, I don't know why they're not traveling well. Don't think that's such a big thing in baseball as it might be in football and what have you. But yeah, it's not going well. It's not going well. So yeah, that'll be our next baseball experience. Will be in Chicago watching the White Sox and the Tigers. But Dave, do you want to? You and Dave Jr. were lucky enough to go and see Major League Baseball in our own country. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've done it before, didn't we? We went in 2019 for the Red Sox Yankees series and had a thoroughly great time. And then unfortunately we missed out for obvious reasons, but it came back with a bang last year, 2023. This year there was just Dave and myself there, but it was a fantastic in baseball terms. It was absolutely terrific. And that's what I'm going to concentrate on. I hope you don't mind. We'll leave out all the
Terrific baseball, good.
shenanigans. I was looking back and I did try and score the game, both games actually. So I did sort of follow the game as closely as I could, but you need to remind yourself. So I did a little bit of revision before tonight's Zoom call. Yeah, I mean, there's 2 games. It's a 2-game series, and it obviously counts towards the regular season. And when I checked, it was the officially in game 1 the Mets were the home team, and in game 2 the Phillies were the home team. So obviously it was at the same stadium. So, but that's the way it panned out. So I noticed that it was actually 2 away wins as it turned out. And interestingly, if I've got my scoring right and I've read my cards correctly, both games ended on a game-ending double play. Now, game 2, a particularly incredible, almost unique double play, which added to the excitement. So I'll just take you through game 1, and I made my own notes, but I did look at at the both the club's websites, and they have MLB writers who cover the various teams. And this was the headline: "Iconic, euphoric Harper takes London by storm in open in the opener." So this was the headline from the I think from the Phillies writer. So the Phillies were at the Mets and ended up 7-2 winners. It was a home game for the Mets, and they took a first inning lead, which they held until the fourth inning. The starting pitcher Manea, he actually retired the first nine batters he faced, but then it all seemed to go wrong in the fourth, when he gave up 6 hits and 6 earned runs, including 2 home runs, a single shot from Bryce Harper. And this is the one where he must have been thinking about this, and knowing that he's in Britain, in England, West Ham United's ground, and obviously he cleared the bases, and then when he got in front of the Phillies dugout, he did a football style knee slide celebration. And that went down really well with the commentators. There was also a 3-run blast from Merrifield. So yeah, the Mets did reduce the lead to 6-2 with a run in the fifth. But despite the Mets 10 runs in the game to the Phillies 11, they couldn't quite get the job done. It's those 3 home runs from the Phillies made all the difference. The Mets, they did threaten a rally in the bottom of the ninth by loading the bases with only 1 out. But my old mate JD Martinez, the Red Sox DH,
Yeah.
he hit into a game-ending 6-4-3 double play. Well, according to my scorecard, anyway, it was a terrific game with some good pitching and plenty of action. Every player on the Phillies team got a hit, and Bryce Harper went 3 for 4 in the game. So that was game one. So game two, obviously on the next day, Sunday afternoon. This time it was the Phillies versus the Mets. Phillies with a home team, and so the Mets were the first up as a second game of the series versus to a home game for the Phils. Phils who were looking for a sweep, but this time it was the Phils who took a first innings 1-0 lead, and they extended their lead to a 3-0, scoring 2 runs in the fourth. So the bases were loaded with nobody out, and a Schwarber infield hit and 2 walks. Bohm then hit into a 6-4-3 double play, but a run scored. So the run scored, but I'm pretty sure that because he hit into a double play, he won't get an RBI for that. So the Mets, the commentator, the Mets would have settled for that, giving up only 1 run because Castellanos grounded out in the next. So meanwhile, the Mets, I think the Mets fans were getting a bit slightly despondent at this point. The Mets bats were cold, and the Phillies starter Walker, he only allowed 1 base runner through the first 5 innings, a base hit to Beatty. He had 6 strikeouts in the first 5 2/3 innings. 5 of them. I noticed this when I was scoring them, because when you score a strike, you put a K in the box. But if it's a strike without the batter swinging, so they call it caught looking, you score it as a backward K. And I did notice there was quite a few of these, and he got 5 of them looking. So it just shows you how well he was pitching. However, by the end of the top of the sixth, New York was level 3-3, and Walker was out of the game. A couple of walks and 3 hits produced 3 runs, including a 2-run single from JD, who sort of redeemed himself from the previous game. So the Mets fans were now up for it, but the Phils went ahead with a pinch hit solo home run from Dahl. That was 4-3 to the Phillies, which they took that lead into the ninth. And then the closer came in, Alvarado came in. I think he was going for his 12th save of the season. I think he'd had one blown saves, but the Mets tied the game. And then with the bases loaded, Alvarado hit Alonso to force in a run. Then there was a passed ball. I think it was scored as a pass ball rather than a wild pitch, and a run scored on that. So it was 6 for the Mets. So that was obviously with the Phillies being at home. They were up to bat in the bottom of the ninth, and the game's wild pitch continues as the Phillies loaded the bases and the Mets walked in a run 6-5 Mets, only one out. Now, I could tell that the Mets fans, you could just being let's say being a Leeds United fan, I could just I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
They thought, well, this is it. We're gonna mess it up as usual. And this takes me back to actually before the game. Dave had gone off to do something, and Lorraine and I were just having a wee drink before taking our seats, and we got talking to two very serious Mets fans, father and son. And the father was of a certain age that he'd been following them ever since they started, really, and he's had a box of the game and all sorts. We had a fantastic discussion with him, but he was a great place to say it's not easy being a Mets fan, and his son was great. Yeah, and he said, "Yeah, thanks, Dad. Generational pain." Yeah, generational pain. I think we all know what that's about when it comes to sport in the various teams that we insist on following. So yeah, this sets up an incredible, rare game-ending double play. The Mets fans there got a 6-5 lead. It's been reduced to one run. The bases are loaded and there's only one out. So if you're the next batter up, you can do what we've spoken about before. That you can make a productive out, you can walk off win, you can get yourself out but score a run. But that is not what happened. So the bases are loaded. Castellanos is at the plate. I've heard it described as a swinging bunt. He took a swing at the ball, and his bat broke as he made contacts with the ball, and the ball just went a couple of feet in front of the plate. So obviously, then on contact, the guy at third base is running to home plate. The quite calmly, the catcher picks up the ball, steps on home plate, and then has the presence of mind and the speed and accuracy to throw the ball to first place to get the runner out at first. Double play.
Brilliant.
And we weren't 100% sure of what had happened, but the Mets fans knew what had
Yeah.
happened, and because it's a force out, or all the bases are loaded, so when a guy hits the fair ball, he has to proceed to first base, which means that the guy on first has to move away to second base and so on. So you don't have to tag the runner out. You just simply have to step on the base, which is what the catcher did. So the guy running from third base to home plate is out. And then the catcher throws to first base. just in time before Castellanos reaches the
Yeah.
first base, and it's a game-ending double play. And apparently, it is one of the rarest of double plays, certainly to end a game and to end a game like that. And what a fantastic,
Yeah.
exciting game it was into the game. I don't know whether I can do this, but the when I sort of started reading about after game after we came back, uh, the Americans were going crazy for the British commentary on this game, and it was by our very own Darren Fletcher, who
Yeah.
you know he commentated. I think is he with BT Sport,
Think
and
so.
I
Yeah.
think yeah, I think he's a good football
Yeah.
commentator, and apparently he covered the MLB London 2019 game, and his uh, his commentary on that last play is included on the MLB's condensed game official
Cool.
version of it. And I don't know whether do you think I would be able to play that and it would get recorded from my device, or is that a step too far?
You're thinking of copyright rules, yeah.
I don't know. No, it's on YouTube,
Yeah,
so
no, it can't be. I'm pretty sure it could. So yeah, go. You want to go for that just now? Have you?
what do you reckon? See if it works. If not, we'll just have to cut
Yeah,
it in. But it's a
we'll
fantastic
pretend the two youngsters aren't here if it doesn't work.
it's a fantastic piece of commentary. So obviously you're just going to hear it. You're not going to see the pictures, but I've
Yeah,
described the bases are loaded. Castellanos is at the plate and he takes a swing at it, but his bat breaks. That's not how the commentator puts it, though. And the rest is described to you by Mr. Fletcher. That's after the
Smith against Castellanos. Wants to take his time, and who can blame him in the circumstances? He must be feeling so much pressure out there. Not the closer by any stretch of the imagination. That's Edwin Diaz. It's a closer by committee. He's the man today with the pressure on his shoulders. And Castellanos' bat explodes. Are they going to get the runner at home? They're going to get the runner play to win the game. The shattered bat. The runner out at home plate. And the ball fired into the glove. And the first baseman, Pete Alonso. And the New York Mets somehow withstand the Phillies rally. And they win game 2 in London 6-5. 17 hits. What drama. What a game. What a finish.
Such an improbable finish. That swing by Castellanos was what we call a swinging bunt. His bat explodes. The ball's just right out in front. They're able to get the runner at home and they get the double play. It's not a common traditional way to get it done, but for a team that struggled and late in the game, they'll take it.
Josh, if this ball travels a metre or two, everybody's probably safe. It's probably game over.
Yeah, this
it's
was
remarkable.
A game of inches right there.
What an astonishing end to the game. The Mets can't believe it. Nick Castellanos with a look of disbelief on his face.
So I'm hoping that that has been recorded because
yeah,
yep,
it will be.
Brilliant, and he's getting incredibly good press from all baseball fans in America. So
Yeah, you can hear the excitement. Although I did think at first I was listening to a Champions League game. But when you hear his voice, yeah. But no, it was great to hear. Now you often like seeing a game of inches as well, Dave. So
yeah, well, that's it. When you see these bang bang plays, don't you? And I guess that's why they use a sort of a version of VAR as well. But no, that's enough about our wee trip to London. You've had an exciting trip yourself, and I think you're going to tell us next about your visit to Durham Bulls,
yeah,
we've spoke about before. I think are they affiliated to the Rays, the Tampa Bay
yeah,
Rays?
yeah. Durham Bulls and surprisingly in Durham, North Carolina, and they play at the the DBAP, which is the Durham Bull Athletic Park. So it's all in there. But of course, the movie confuses it because I think the movie is the other way around, is it not? Bull Durham,
Yeah.
as opposed to, although there's probably a reason why it's Bull Durham as well. Perhaps we maybe don't need to go into that, but no, AAA baseball. There's something to be said for watching minor league baseball Friday night in America. I don't know. It's not particularly expensive to get in. You don't get ripped off drinking beers, and it's astonishing. You're sat there, shorts and t-shirts through till 10 o'clock. You don't even contemplate that it's not warm enough to do that as well. So when you head down south in the States, it's it's one of life's pleasures: a beer, some nachos, and some baseball. So the Bulls, AAA affiliate of the Rays, and they were playing the Charlotte Knights, who are the AAA affiliate of the White Sox. So I kept young Dave informed of that. Maybe shouldn't be too surprised, but the Knights were bottom of the International League at this point when I went there. I guess there's an element of logic to that, because if they had good players and the White Sox were struggling, those good players would have been heading on their way up to Chicago by now. So, yeah, there seems to be a few organizational issues there. So, this bullpen will root for the White Sox organization. But great. As we also root for the Bulls, as Hamish would want us to as well, as part of the Highland bullpen. In fact, I'm not reminded vaguely of the Green Monster. There is a big wall out left field. And above that are flats and some balconies to watch the baseball from. But if you hit, they have a bull on the wall. So the idea is if a batter hits a home run and it hits the bull lights up, it all flashes, and the batter gets free steak. The bull isn't actually standing on grass, so if he hits the grass, he gets a free salad, which I guess might not induce him to go to the steak restaurant so much. So little quirks like that are fantastic. The first batter up very early on, there was a pitching challenge, and obviously watching Major League Baseball, we've not seen pitching challenge, but I think this is how baseball do it, that they'll look to introduce a new rule and they'll put it into minor league games. So I think maybe something to explore in the future. I wonder what the strategy of a pitching challenge is as well. I think they get 3, and you then think, well, it's interesting that they would use one so early in the game. But I guess the manager is thinking, I think my guy's chance of getting on base here. And they did score some early runs, the Bulls. I think they were 3-0 up. I'm not as competent as you in scoring a game, but I think they were 3-0 up early on. They won the game 5-1. The Knights didn't really come into it, but they stopped the rot a bit there as well. So it's good. It was historically, it was interesting as well. I mean, there's always something to learn or something to understand better. So it was a Negro Leagues Appreciation Night at the Durham Bulls. So I appreciated as well. The team from Durham were called the Black Sox. So I need to get myself some gear. So between us, we were covering the Red Sox, the White Sox, and the Black Sox then at some point. And they did very well. They spoke to some family members of one of their all-time players, and it was interesting because I'd noticed in Durham Barbie Road, and the chap was called Barbie. So you then think he's presumably had one of the streets of Durham named after him as well. So it was good to see that. It gave me a good. It helps your appreciation of the issues behind a lot of that stuff, and it highlights when you listen to people and you understand the focus of the appreciation night, the importance of keeping that message going as well. So, yeah, great entertainment, great baseball. Once again, I saw the bases loaded, but I've still not seen a grand slam, so I'm still waiting for that. But also good historical awareness and good societal awareness then in doing that as well. And they top off the Friday night with Friday night fireworks. Absolutely, it's just a great night out. You're there with the family. You're there enjoying the baseball. Done a wee blog on it. It's on the blog, and there's a few photos on there. Some of the baseball pictures, the bull, the fireworks. Yeah, so great night. Really enjoyed it, and I'd thoroughly recommend anyone on holiday. You might not be near major league teams, but if you're in the southern states, there's a decent chance you're going to be fairly close to some of these AAA teams in the international leagues. So yeah, give them a go.
You know what, Alan? When you said, whoops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. You know what? When you said you'd never seen a grand slam,
You're going
it
to
just
prove me wrong.
no. It just reminded me of two things. I'm pretty sure Lorraine and I went to see a game at Mets, and we were talking about with the guys that the father and son
Yeah,
spoke to you about. This is how knowledgeable this guy was and what a great memory he has. And actually, what a special thing we saw. And I did say to him, you know, and it was obviously speaking from memory that we'd been to the Mets old Shea Stadium, and I said, I think it was 2000, and I said, do you know what we saw? And it was fantastic. You know, we saw a grand slam. I think it was, and I couldn't remember the guy's name. He says Ventura, and he says it was 1999, and he just reeled off the whole game. But apparently, it was a really sort of big deal. Yeah, I think we bonded over that. It was, and he was there. You know, he was there. And it was, but yeah, it was that was something that took because I don't think we had seen many home runs. I'm not saying there wasn't. We might have been unlucky in the games, excuse me, that we went to in around about 99 and 2000 when we went to a few of the old ballparks, but didn't really see many home runs. Now it seems a little bit more common. I think there's more emphasis on that still, isn't there? But yeah, it was a standout moment from all the baseball games that I've been to was that Grand Slam, and you saw what they used to do is there was literally a big apple that when they hit a home run that would emerge from centre field, and now they've got a new stadium, of course, but that big apple is still there. I think it's maybe outside the stadium. So yeah, we didn't sort of exchange numbers, but what a great couple of guys they were, man. Yeah, you'd meet them, don't you? Baseball.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's yeah, fantastic. I was thinking as well. You mentioned a couple of things there, like generational pain, which is a common phrase across sports. But I'm also then thinking of things like Grand Slam. Grand Slam's quite interesting because that's like a relevant to a game. I don't. I suppose it's a bit like a hat trick, which is a football and hockey phrase. But yeah, Grand Slam has got no. They use it in rugby. I guess they used to have the Grand Slam in the Six Nations tournament. I was then thinking of like sports. What words? We've got a lot of stuff in sports that maybe don't translate. But I was then thinking like in football we'll have yo-yo clubs. so somebody is moving between divisions. And I was thinking, is there a comparable? There's no comparable in one sense in baseball because you don't move, but then the players do. So do they have yo-yo players?
I don't know. I suppose you're not because they're franchises and your position in MLB is safe,
Yeah,
but your performance. So you could be
yeah,
effectively a yo-yo club. In some respects, you could be in the playoffs one year and then not the next, and that might be a club that can't doesn't have the budget to keep on to its good players. So you might produce a few good players,
yeah,
get into the playoffs, and you can't tie them up to long-term deals, and for one reason or another, you might be a while before you get back into the playoffs. But I don't know if there's any terminology or
yeah,
nickname for a club like that. They call them sort of mid-market teams, though. The teams who are not quite one thing
yeah.
or another. So I don't know whether in football it is about, to a certain degree, it's about financing, it's about money. You can't attract good players, I don't even want to mention it, but I will. Leeds United, they miss
Yeah,
out on promotion, and all of a sudden they've lost one of the great from the great Gray
yeah,
dynasty. Archie Gray looks like he's gone to Tottenham Hotspur,
yeah,
30 million, So this is what happens if you don't, if you're not achieving
yeah.
what you're meant to achieve, you're not getting there, then your players might move on, or your organization might need to. I think there's an element that with Leeds, they need to balance the books,
Yeah.
both from the point of view of the club's finances, but also the rules
Well,
of the game.
yeah. Gray's a bonus, isn't he? Because he's maybe unfair me to say it, but he's a player that's come through quickly
Yeah,
that had no value effectively 12
it's
months
all
ago.
yeah, that 30 million's all profit in inverted commas,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, that's a real tough one.
yeah. And the crazy thing is, I read at Ipswich, who got promoted, they've now just bought a player, and it's like more than like any transfer fee paid by like a Scottish, Belgium, Portuguese, or whatever. They reeled off half a dozen semi-decent leagues in Europe that have never paid anything like that, and all of a sudden Ipswich
Yeah.
suddenly said that. So yeah, it's because the other thing because obviously there's a pyramid system. So there is a pyramid system in a sense in baseball, pyramid structure, but you don't move from block to block because it's all affiliated. But again, the players are potentially moving the pyramid. Then they're yo push. So when I was wondering about if you've seen a few, and there's different reasons for this, but a footballer will kick the ball into Rose Ed. When you hit a home run in the TV, it's like the ball's out of here, and they'll then immediately start talking distances. But I've never heard them say, "Oh, he's put that into Rose Ed."
No, it's sort of sometimes it depends on the ballpark, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's at Fenway, if you hit over the monster, that's gone into Lansdowne Road, and then is it the would it be San Francisco Giants where they hit it into
the river, the sea. Yeah,
yeah, and there's always a guy in a canoe who's tries to get there's a race to get the ball, isn't it? So yeah, it's probably a wee bit different for the description of that. The second tier, or they hit it into one of the well, I was going to say one of the concession stands, and that just
yeah,
reminds. It's funny how your mind works, but I remember the great cricket commentator, Australian cricket commentator, Richie Beno, and was it an Ian Botham six at Headingley, and he hit it out, and it says that's gone straight into the concession stand and out again, and it did, and there was only like one there. It was the place where Headingley, where I knew it well.
Yeah.
You would go and buy a scorecard and maybe a Mars bar or something. There would be nothing exotic there, but I think it might even have been the 1981 famous Headingley test. So yeah, there's ways and means of describing a big hit in any sport that it's not a good thing in football, but it is a good thing in baseball.
It's it's funny. So I'll throw one more at you before we back into the night. So like an own goal. So minded of that. There's a sort of video on Twitter X today of a game in Brazil where the team actually scored an own goal, and the team who got the goal hadn't even touched the ball because like the other team passed it around for 15 seconds, and the defender didn't realize his goal was in line. So I don't an own goal. You're actually scoring for the other team. So obviously in baseball, that's not practically possible because your own guys are hitting the ball. An error, you understand error as well. So is that similar type of thing?
There's actually I was reading today. There's been quite a few own goals in the Euro 2024, hasn't there? So
both the Scotland's goals, mate. Certainly one's officially an own goal.
Was it?
I think we actually put the ball in from our own feet. So yeah.
I didn't really mean to remind you of that, but yeah, there seems to have been a few, and as a defender, I think I was guilty of scoring an OG once myself, actually. But we'll not go into that in too much detail. But yeah, I mean, you won't be able to literally score an own goal, but metaphorically, you've done something that is going to cost your team the game. I don't think they would use that as an error. It must be. I can't think of another sport that actually has a rule in the game to say specifically that player has made an error, and that goes. It's actually in the score, isn't it?
Yeah.
The score. You look at the score, and it will say, I'm looking at game one, Phillies 7 runs, 11 hits, no errors. Mets 2 runs, 10 hits, no errors. The errors are a big part of the game, isn't it? You're expected to do your job, and my God, I bet there's a lot of cricket fielders back in the 1950s and 60s are glad that they were not being recorded as whether they had made an error or not, because the fielding back in the day in cricket was not as robust, shall we say, as it is these days.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm sort of thinking of sports where people make errors, but yeah, it's in the rule book that you've committed an error. And I just think as a football fan, I don't think this is a pleasure, but it seems to give pleasure to people in the pub afterwards, where you'll think, yeah, those 3 guys were at fault for that goal. So we don't need a journalist or a statistician or a rule book to tell us. We just want to get angry with those guys without having the. And so baseball, is that cruel that they then make that official? But yeah, it's one of the great reasons why we love the sport and why there's so many things happening there that are just unique and interesting, and always something to learn. And perhaps we're helping our listeners understand a little bit more about baseball, and maybe some of the American listeners might think, oh yeah, yo-yo clubs or own goals or whatever. I sometimes like watching an American MLS video where somebody scores an own goal, and the comments under it are usually entertaining. But on that point, I should probably sign off. We've enjoyed the chat with Dave and myself, the two more senior members of the bullpen. Hopefully next time we'll have a full complement of Hamish and his pals. But for now, thanks for listening, everyone.